Hey Autobarners, how you doing? Welcome to Autobarn Elizabeth. As you can tell, it's after dark and it is dark here. We have an awesome episode coming up for you today about Ryco Filtration. We are Autobarn Elizabeth. We are here at Elizabeth, of course. We're open 363 days of the year. We have a workshop here running 5 days a week. So if you need a new subwoofer, a set of dash cameras, a light bar, anything you will need, come and see us here at Autobarn Elizabeth and we'll help you out. Let's get started. Welcome, Brenton from Ryco Filters. Thank you so much for joining us. And here we are to talk about Ryco and all things filtration. Give us a rundown of what you guys do and how you do it, and go from there. Let's do it.
James, thanks for having us along. It's actually a pleasure to be here. I suppose the easiest way to start, there'd be a lot of people that would know the Ryco name.
Yes, absolutely.
It goes back 90 years.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of history. The business has changed a lot over that period of time. Not in our core will always be automotive filtration.
Yep.
But certainly the products that we do have now evolved.
It's very much a household name.
Yeah, it is.
Sure, everyone's had a Ryco filter at some point in their driving career, I'm sure.
Yep, in the automotive industry, it's probably one of the best known names in automotive. But as a bit of brief history, if we look back in the late 30s, Ryco was started by a gentleman in Melbourne called Bill Ryan.
Okay.
Bill Ryan started a company called W.L. Ryan and Company, which later he morphed into Ryco, Ryan and Company, Ryco. This was around the end of World War II.
Okay.
So at that point in time, the Australian government was very keen on keeping everything in-house.
Yep.
Development, we had a burgeoning or upcoming automotive industry, building cars.
Yes.
So a lot of the product they wanted to come from Australia. So Bill saw an opportunity under license from an American company to start making filters for the automotive industry here in Australia. So that goes back into basically 1940 thereabouts. So with hand in hand, as that automotive industry evolved, we had the engine designers come to us and say, here's the engine we've got, this is what we want to do. We want to see if you can make a filter to do this.
Okay.
So we had a great involvement from automotive, directly with the automotive manufacturers, right up until probably about 20 years ago.
Yep.
Filters evolved in the fact that we started making oil filters.
Yep.
In fact, first Holden's, the oil filter was actually optional.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't on the grey motors. You could buy it as an option. It was what we called a bypass filter.
Yep.
Meant that filter sat in the line and some of the oil went through the filter some of the time. That changed to what we now know as the full flow oil system. And I'll get into a little bit more later on as to why those things were important.
Cool.
But with our development with the car industry, we knew what the key things they wanted the filter to achieve. So we then set about setting up a manufacturing plant in Melbourne.
Yep.
We brought in our own testing equipment, and as of today, we have some of the only testing equipment in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wow.
So it's a dedicated automotive filtration testing laboratory, and we can test all sorts of filters, air, oil, fuel, cabin, everything these days.
Yep.
And make sure that they perform to OE or better.
Yep, absolutely.
So in regards to that, I've been with Ryco for about 20 years.
Yep.
And I suppose there's a little bit of brief history. I've always been a car person.
Yes.
I started out building my own engines and found out a little bit about why I should be using Ryco.
Why?
I had a filter system on my car, James. It was a $300 unit. I thought it was the best you could get.
Yep.
The reality is that the guy that was dynoing my engine said I wouldn't run that on any of my cars. I've seen too much damage caused by those.
Yeah,
So I said, okay, what do I run? And he said, I will not warrant any of my engines if it doesn't use a Ryco filter.
Yep.
So I tried to get my head around taking a $300 filter off and putting a $12 filter on, but he showed me a lot of info out the back, which I learned a lot about it. So as an engine builder, I wanted to understand why I should be using it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the great thing from that is that everything I've learnt since only reinforces what I knew and learnt then.
Yep.
In fact, it was one of the reasons and how I actually got the job at Ryco. So it's been an interesting progression through those lines.
Very interesting. The filtration is so important to a car, and I guess if you don't have it, you're going to be in trouble very quickly. And some of the side effects, blow your engine up, all that sort of nonsense. But why are we, this Ryco filter here, you've had in the line for a long time, why are we using a Ryco filter, I guess, is the big question. And what makes the Ryco product the best product to buy?
It's a great question because, as you know, there's plenty of brands out there.
Yep.
One of the things that people might find interesting to know that in Australia, in the automotive industry, there are actually no standards for filters.
Okay.
So the reality is that a consumer can look at a filter and to all intents and purposes, when you look at the outside, they pretty much, apart from a colour, look very much the same.
Yeah.
The reality is you could get anything from a Coke can with a half a toilet roll into it through to an OE or better. And because of the fact that there are no standards, Ryco's line has always been to manufacture OE or better.
Yep.
And a lot of people will say that, look, we promote the fact that it will not void new car warranty.
Yep.
And then there'll be people that say, but our car's not a new car, it's not under new car warranty.
Sure.
But I suppose from that perspective, it guarantees that it's going to do the job that the engine designers wanted that filter to do. And there's some critical areas that we look at when we're talking oil, air or fuel filters.
Yeah.
We talk three things. We talk efficiency, life and flow, and you'll hear me talk about L for efficiency, life and flow a lot.
Yep.
Efficiency simply is how much dirt the filter takes out of the oil or air or fuel.
Sure.
Life is what's its service interval, how long will it do that job for?
Yes.
And flow, of course, is the last thing. I mean, I could produce a filter that takes 100% of dirt out of oil, but it'd be a steel frame and there'd be nothing passing through it. So there's a balance of getting all of those things right.
Yes.
To make sure. I've always looked at the oil filter a little bit like, if you look at the engine as being like a human.
Yes.
You've got good oil running around like we have blood.
Yep.
And in our body we need a great liver to clean that blood to keep it good.
Absolutely.
And anybody that's ever suffered or knows of anybody that's ever suffered from liver disease will understand how important it is to keep blood clean.
Absolutely.
And the oil filter is really the liver in the engine. It keeps the oil clean.
Yep.
And allows it to do the job it's supposed to do for the length of time it's supposed to do. We find that with a lot of the more budget brands, to get one of those things right, efficiency, life or flow, is easy to do. Everyone will do that.
Sure.
To get two of them right, there's quite a few that will get two of them.
Yep.
But to get three consistently across every make model that we produce for, we're still the only ones that will do that, to meet or exceed on every make model across the board with every range of products that we do.
Fantastic. So I guess, why should you change an oil filter? Is a good question. Why should you do it? Because a lot of people don't. You see that sometimes.
It's a really good question, and for the cost of an oil filter, really it is a cheap insurance policy. The way we see it. We see oil these days, it can be anything up to $120 for 5 litres for some good synthetic oil. And it's amazing how many people have a real passion for the brands of oils they use.
Absolutely.
The thing that keeps that oil doing the job it's supposed to do is the quality of the filter.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Backing that up, we have that testing laboratory here in Australia. So we know exactly where every filter fits. We know where OE fits. Yep. We know what the service intervals are, and we recommend that whatever your logbook service interval is what Ryco will do.
Yeah.
And we'll guarantee that under normal everyday driving conditions, it'll do that job right up to then, no problem at all.
Very cool, very cool. So you do oil filters, and you've got some other things here as well. So we've got an air filter and a cabin filter, I guess. So why would we need these things?
Well, I suppose the oil filter is one component of it, James, and you're absolutely spot on. If we looked at the engine these days, it's interesting that the most important filter on a car, filter on a car is the air filter.
Air filter.
And the reason it is like that is that the dirt the oil filter takes out, 95% of that dirt is what's gotten past the air filter.
Yeah, okay.
So the air filter performs a major function as in making sure that the air that goes through the engine is clean.
Yep.
And it's interesting that it's not just the dirt that might pass through the media of the filter, it's what might get around the sides of it, get past the edges of it. And once that gets into there, and I think it's also important to understand that the conditions in Australia are quite unique in the world. They're some of the most severe in the world.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of dirt and dust and sand.
Yeah.
Sand, silica being one of the biggest killers.
Yep.
When it gets past an air filter, what it does is the particles can be very small. And I might just deviate just briefly on that to give you an idea.
Yep.
We talk a lot about microns, and I don't tend to talk a lot about that because I suppose a lot of people don't understand how big a micron is.
Yep.
But when you understand that human hair is about 70 microns thick,
that's a lot.
that we're taking particles out in an oil filter down at around about 20, 25, anywhere up to 30. So we're talking half the thickness of the human hair.
Yeah, wow.
We can go with cabin air filters down to 2 micron.
Yep.
Some of the fuel filters are down at 4 microns. So these are tiny particles. But it's those small particles that get through an air filter that get into the intake system and inside the cylinder. Now, a lot of people would suspect that they go in and go straight out the exhaust.
Yep.
But a lot of those small particles get trapped in that oil smear that's around the sides of the bore that stop the rings running on the side of the bore.
Yep.
So obviously, if you had metal on metal, there'd be a lot of wear.
Yes.
So there is a thin layer of oil that separates the rings from the bore.
Yep.
But those dust particles, which are usually sand, get stuck into those, and that's where they go up and down the bore and do the scoring and do the damage. So that's what we want to do, is to try and eliminate that wear before it goes through and have to rely on the oil filter to take it out.
Yep.
So having a quality air filter, quality oil filter will be the best protection for engine longevity and performance. Once you lose that longevity, you start dropping performance as well. And it'll also impact fuel economy, which is where our fuel filters make a great difference.
Yep.
We've got a range of fuel filters, and it's another interesting thing with fuel filters is it's not necessarily that the dirt that gets through the filter blocks the injectors. Nowadays we're running common rail diesel, and these things have 5 tiny little holes in the end of an injector. The dirt going through might not necessarily block them, but as it goes through and starts to build up there, it changes the spray pattern, James.
Yep. So
instead of having 100,000 droplets going through, we now only have 50,000 droplets, and those droplets can be twice as big. So they're in the engine, they spend about the same amount of time, it only burns half that fuel. So half that fuel goes out, the exhaust is unburnt, the computer sees that it's not making power and makes all these changes because it's changed the spray pattern. That's why fuel filters. Good fuel filters, good clean injectors to keep them that way, good air filters to stop the dirt getting in, and then whatever does get past, make sure you've got a great oil filter on there to take any contaminants out to make the engine last.
Yeah, to get the best performance you can run out of it. So yeah,
Indeed.
Very, very exciting. All right, so good question here is a cabin filter. Some people might not know what a cabin filter is. Why do we need it? What does it do? That's the big question we've got with that one. Tell us all about it,
Yeah, it's another great question, James. Like, if you look at it, when I started with Ryco 20 years ago, we didn't have cabin filters.
There was no cabin filters.
It was air, oil and fuel filters for us. As we saw a market change from the European and the American market, a lot of vehicles, which we're probably anywhere between 5 and 10 years behind, started coming out with cabin filters. Why are cabin filters important? Why is the air you breathe and the quality of the air you breathe important to you? So cabin filters were introduced into a lot of the later cars. I think some of ours didn't come into probably at the earliest, maybe 12 to 15 years ago. And it was only a smattering. Nowadays, just about everybody's got one. What the cabin filter does is it cleans the air that's coming into the cabin from outside. We traditionally have 3 different types, but there's one that seems to be evolving as the most common these days. We started off with paper or pollen filters. They just took dirt and dust out of the air. Then we moved to carbon filters or charcoal filters.
Charcoal filter,
They also took the dirt and dust plus fumes and other things out of the air as well. So if you were driving along one of the main roads, sitting behind a truck or a bus and getting all the diesel fumes, it took all of that out as well. We've evolved that to now go to our current range of MicroShield. So MicroShield does all that as well. It does the dirt, dust, it does the fumes. But what it also does now is remove pathogens. What a lot of people probably wouldn't understand is that the contaminant environment inside a car driving along can be actually 10 times more polluted than actually outside the car. So dirt particles, anything tends to come in through the HVAC or the air system. And because it's heavier than air in itself, it tends to stay in the car and recirculate. So that's why it can be there a lot longer. So if there's anybody travelling in cars and somebody has a cold or the flu, and those particles are in the air, if it goes through a recirculating system and is pulled through,
it's coming back
these things actually attracted into that and actually kill the pathogens on contact. So
that's really cool.
Another just a really interesting side bit is that these things will actually maintain new car smell. So we all have had that new car smell, and what actually impacts that new car smell is actually our body odours.
That's right.
So we're sitting in a car and actually the new car smell is still there, but our body odours, which we don't notice every day, override that new car smell. So these things will actually pick that up and actually keep the new car smell a lot longer. So they're actually really good quality, made to suit those different specific models. And there are instructions and videos available to show where to find these in the car
that was my next
and
question.
how to install them.
How do I find out what what's going to suit my vehicle? How's the best way to, of course, coming to an Autobarn is one of them, but if you're not doing that, how else could you find that information out?
The easiest way, James, would be to go to the Ryco website.
Yep.
And if you look up the part number, it'll take you through and it'll give you a PDF and you can look at it online and it'll show you where to find it for that particular model.
Awesome.
How to change it, how to do all the bits and pieces.
It's great information.
Yep.
Very, very cool.
And I suppose now that, and we were talking about that, we've gone from oil, air, fuel filters, cabin filters, and our range nowadays includes things like catch cans, transmission kits, service tools.
Yep. So you don't have to just stab the oil filter with a screwdriver?
No. Hey, look, it still does happen. Sometimes you have to. But then we've got commercial vehicle filters as well, service kits. We're even now doing filters for EV.
Oh, wow.
So Ryco has always been, its core business has been automotive filtration.
Yep.
And if we want to stick with our core, which is what we're really, really good at, then we need to find new applications in that automotive field for us to have. And EV is going to be one of those, whether we like it or not. It's going to be there. There are battery, believe it or not, there are filters on EVs.
Yeah.
They're on some of the transmissions. They have a filter system, and of course in the battery box in those cars as well. And if they aren't changed, the batteries overheat. Well, there's another problem.
There's another problem, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, big problem. Very good. So you've got another product here, which is in front of us, which is your Syntec series. Let's have a little discussion about why you would buy that over a standard Ryco filter. I guess is probably the question of who's buying this, or what car needs this.
Syntec is a great development and an advancement in our filter technology. Syntec was thought up by our guys in Melbourne when we were partially looking at filters to give higher efficiencies.
Okay.
Efficiencies meaning taking more dirt out than a normal filter. So a lot of research we've done is with V8 supercars.
Yes,
you know that we've got an
that,
association with V8 supercars. And how that evolved with V8 supercars is that with the new next generation engines, they needed the engines to last longer. We were talking about wear with Ryco.
Yeah.
They needed those engines to last longer, and traditionally they were pulling some of these engines out and having to rebuild them at 4,000 kilometres.
Wow.
So that's an expensive exercise, can be anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 to refresh an engine.
Yeah, a lot of time.
So by using our Syntec filters, and I'll tell you what the difference is with those, but our specially designed air filters for those guys, which we've taken to technology for everyday applications,
Fantastic.
and our fuel filters, we've been able to extend the life of those engines from 4,000 kilometres through to almost 10,000.
Wow, it's a huge...
So that saved them a huge amount with no power loss.
Yep.
So that's purely and simply through taking the dirt out and stopping on those wearing components. So the Syntec, from a consumer perspective, I personally run them on everything.
Yep.
Not because I get them for nothing, but that's because they are the best. What they will do is they'll remove more dirt, up to 10 times more dirt than the standard Ryco.
Wow.
So if we start talking that micron range,
yeah, that's right.
We're talking something like 30 odd micron for this.
Yep.
We're down at around about 19 micron for that. So we're talking, down about, 20% of the thickness of a human hair.
Yep.
It will do that at a higher burst pressure. So in other words, they will take higher pressures into the engine.
Yep.
And ultimately they will flow more as well. From a performance application, that flow is super critical.
Yeah, that's good.
70 litres a minute, and I don't want to go into too many figures, but it'll have higher flow, higher burst pressures, a lot finer, and it'll handle still a full 15,000 K surface interval. So you can put that on a brand new vehicle, straight out of the factory today, and it will not void the new car warranty.
Wow, okay.
But for those that don't have a new car, it just means you're getting the ultimate. If you love your car, you've got the best.
Well, you're getting, good value for money, I guess.
You want the best. It's simply that at the moment.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. And is that for all cars, or is that only selected vehicles, or is it a growing range?
It is a growing range. I would say that in the last, when we started, we probably only had about a dozen applications. We're up to around about 50 now.
Okay.
So they include both spin-on filters and cartridge filters.
As well,
But that range is growing wherever we see a need for that, and we're developing that. And I think one of the keys to that is to how a lot of people say, how do you get that? Because traditionally when we've taught performance, it's always been, you can get high flow, but you've usually sacrificed the efficiency to get the high flow. There's a trade-off. What we've been able to do with that synthetic media is to be able to give the best of both worlds, which is what makes it very unique at this point in time.
Awesome.
So it is just, at the moment, probably, I put my hand on my heart and say, probably right at this stage, arguably, it's probably the best oil filter in the world.
That's
so if they want the best, there are no better.
Yeah, come and get a Ryco.
Absolutely.
Come to Autobarn and get yourself a Ryco, which would be cool. So I said before, if you are looking for, you guys do oil filter, air filter, cabin filter, fuel filter, any other things?
Service kits, you guys have as well. We've got a range of tools for helping the guys take those filters on and off nowadays, especially with a lot of the new vehicles where they've got specific factory cartridges with different size caps.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the range of tools to do that as well.
Awesome. Again, you can find all this information out on your website if you need to look it up.
Yeah.
Or come and see us at Autobarn, of course.
Oh, look, come and see you guys at Autobarn, and I suppose for your customers that want to come in and have an idea of what they've got, we do have an app that is available. It's a free app.
Okay.
But you can look at it on your website. You can just put in your registration number.
Yep.
It'll come through with your vehicle details. Click on that and have a look, and it'll list every product we actually make for that vehicle, including transmission kits, service tools, service kits, what options there are on filters, all of the bits and pieces. So it lists the whole lot.
Fantastic. So yeah, really important if you are, looking to change your oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, cabin filter, come and see us here at Autobarn. We'd love to help you out. So Brenton, I've got a filter here, but you've cut it open.
Yeah,
why would you do that?
There's a bit of an air gap in this one, James. One of the reasons I did this, I thought it was important for people because of the fact that when they get a filter, they see it like that, and from their perspective, they can see what colour it is and what end, and really have not a lot of idea of what goes on inside. So I thought it was important for everybody just to have a look and see what it's made up of and why these are so different. So you're right, I've cut this one. This is one I prepared earlier.
I like it.
So what we have in here, and I'll run through a couple of the components. I'll just pull it all apart so you can see actually what's in it, and that way you'll get a bit of an understanding. So obviously, firstly, we start with the can.
Yep.
Now, it has to be of a certain thickness and construction to handle the pressures that we're involved with. And on the other end, you'll see that we've got a lovely, what we call threaded end cap.
Yep.
So how this works on most engines is that the oil will come into the filter through these holes.
Yep.
It'll flow into the can and go around that which sits inside there.
Okay.
So the oil goes around that can. There's a couple of interesting things that happens when you first start this up. So one of the important things is once we take that out of it, there's a couple of things that happen when that oil comes into the filter.
Yep.
One of the things you'll notice on this end cap is there's a little valve in there that opens.
Oh yeah, okay.
So that little valve is what we call a pressure relief valve.
Yep.
When you first start up a car and the oil's very cold, it's very thick.
Yes.
What it does is it has a lot of trouble pushing through that filter media.
Yep.
So what will happen is you'll get high pressure coming in around the outside of that filter, and there'll be low pressure on the inside. So that pressure differential opens this valve and allows oil to flow through the engine.
Okay.
So the oil will come in through there, go through there. In this case, when it first starts and it's really thick, it'll bypass and come through the middle, come back out of there and go through to the engine.
Yep.
As that oil warms up and it becomes less viscous,
Yes.
more viscous, less viscous, what will happen is that pressure differential will mean that valve will close, and now all the oil goes through the media.
Okay.
So that's when it becomes its true full,
it's doing its
flow
full work.
media. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing we want to do is have this on there. It all blocks up. You're getting no oil through your engine, and it starves.
Yep.
What do? We kill an engine.
Yeah, that's right.
So the other time that valve opens up, and importantly to note, first thing, not every filter has that.
Okay.
So on some vehicles, that actually is built into the oil pump.
Yeah,
so
right.
if you pull one out and it hasn't got that, it's because that is built into the oil pump, doesn't need to be in the filter. So the other time that valve will open is as you go past 25, 30,000 kilometres and haven't serviced your vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets so gunky and blocked that the oil can't get through.
Can't get through, yeah.
Rather than having no oil go through, that valve will open again and allow dirty oil to pass. And this is one of the interesting things that happen in automotive. And I use this analogy a lot, and I hope you don't mind if I pinch it, but people will go with a certain set of brake pads because others they've used either squeal or dust.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when you get an oil filter or budget filter where that's bypassing because it's only lasted 6,000 Ks and it's not doing any more, there's no light that comes on and tells you.
Yeah.
So again, one of the important things about using a quality brand is you know that it's designed to do a job for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And everything we've talked about when we talk about standards and not having that standard in Australia, we back up all our data by having all the testing data on it. So with that lab in Melbourne, we can bring out the latest ISO test data and we can actually test these. We said there's no standards in Australia, but if you test a filter, there's actually a standard you've got to test too.
Yes.
So we make sure that all of those exceed that. But as I said, there's no light that comes on. So you might use a budget filter and you might think it's doing a great job, but you might find that a third or halfway through its service interval, the filter's actually not working.
Yes.
But there's no light to tell you that.
Completed its lifestyle.
The other thing you'll find in some filters is this little gaskety thing here, which sits on the end of this underneath the cap.
Yep.
Again, that's not in every filter as well.
Okay.
If that filter application is only like that, it doesn't need it, because this does is stop the oil draining out of the filter.
Yes.
Every time you start a car, if that wasn't there and it was mounted like that, all the oil's drained out. So you start the car, it's now got to fill the filter before it can put pressure through the engine. So this actually stops that oil draining out. And believe it or not, there's actually a standard you have to pass to do that as well. How many millilitres an hour are not allowed to flow out of it while it's shut down. So you'll find that that valve is only on filters that might be mounted that way or through there.
Directional.
Yeah, but if it's only mounted like that, no need for it, because there's nothing for it to do.
Come out,
So that's why there's the things inside that you can't see that make a filter really, really good. How many pleats it's got, how deep those pleats are, and the easiest way, and I learnt from the guy that showed me the engines.
Yes.
Cut it all out and stretch out and see how much medium is in it. And that gives you an indication of life. We see a lot of people with videos that have pulled them apart and tell you what a good filter or a bad filter is. Well, it's great, it can tell you how it's constructed, but again, I keep going back to the fact that those videos don't tell you how good the media is. It doesn't tell you how much dirt it takes out. It doesn't tell you how well it flows, which are critical things.
Absolutely.
And as an engine builder, that was one of the things I wanted to know. How long will this last? How well does it flow? What's the restriction flowing through it? All of those things. So they're the critical parts that make up a really good oil filter, James.
That's cool. It's very interesting to know, like, you know, where you spend your money and what you're getting is really important with your filtration.
And I think the other thing too is with having our head office here, having it as an Australian product, every product is great until you have a drama. And then you want to know that you've got a business backing you up that's got the facilities to be able to test it and know exactly what we're looking at and to be able to support you. Every product's great until you have a drama. Then we find out how good they are.
That's right.
So we're very good at doing that as well.
Fantastic. Very, very good. Is there anything else we need to talk about with Ryco filtration?
Well, there's probably a million things
but
James, I could go on about, but I think we've probably covered off the basics, and I don't want to certainly bore your listeners too much.
No, not at all. That's fantastic.
I think it's really important. If they've got more questions, they can certainly come through.
Drop us a line,
You know how to get hold of me, and that was the great thing. I look after South Australian Northern Territory. I'm always around the place. If there's anything they want to know, more than happy to help and support you guys at Autobarn, because you stock a great range of our stuff.
We do have a huge range of Ryco here.
And the knowledge you guys have got is second to none as well, so I appreciate that from that
thank you so much.
too.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you so much from Brenton from Ryco Filters. That was an amazing conversation. We really appreciate you coming on tonight. Of course, guys, we are Autobarn Elizabeth After Dark. Of course, it is After Dark. We are located here in the heart of Elizabeth. We are open 363 days of the year. We have a workshop here as well, so if you need a new set of dash cameras, a subwoofer, or a set of roof racks, come and see us here, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.